Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 4, Episode 13, Six People, No Music, starring John McIver and Peggy Cass. So, this episode, if there was ever such thing as a filler episode, this would be it. I usually don't like to use that term for an anthology show, but honestly, while this episode's not terrible, there's nothing that stands out about it either. It's not particularly good. It was okay to watch once, but not much really happens in this episode. So I'll go through the episode as I always do. So there will be spoilers, although there's not much to spoil with this one. So we start with the most amusing thing of the episode, which is Alfred Hitchcock giving his introduction standing on a wall. Yes, really, he's standing on a wall. That's all I'll say about that. So the episode starts with our main character named Arthur, and he's coming home from work to his wife, and he's been drinking quite a bit. His wife seems annoyed by that. They kind of go back and forth and annoy each other for a few minutes. It turns out that Arthur's an undertaker, which we'll learn soon. And there was a department store had a very famous man named Stanton, I think his name is, and he passed away. So then in flashbacks we get the story of what happened and why Arthur, is in the state he is. So it turns out Arthur meets with a lawyer. He was Stanton's lawyer, and he's put in charge of this funeral for this man Stanton. So then we meet Arthur's assistant, who isn't particularly interesting in any way. I'm not really sure why this guy was in the episode, but whatever, you just got to kind of go with it. It turns out that they are going to start planning this big funeral for this man, which is probably going to bring some notoriety and good business to Arthur, I'm guessing. So he's in a pretty good mood at this point. The only problem is that Stanton pops up and he's now alive again. So we go to the next scene, and it turns out Stanton wants to know what Arthur's doing. So Arthur explains the situation. He tells this guy, you were dead, pretty much. Stanton takes it pretty well, surprisingly, which was a little bit weird. But at this point, I kind of figured out that this episode was going kind of for a comic effect. I didn't find it particularly funny, but it wasn't terrible to watch or anything either. So it turns out that Stanton says the reason he came back is because he forgot to take care of his funeral, to plan it out, and he's concerned it's going to be too expensive. So this obviously contradicts with Arthur's situation, where he wants, as much money as possible spent. So Stanton plans out this really small funeral with 6 people and no music, hence the title of the episode. But Arthur says, I don't know if this paper you're writing me out is going to be any good because, you're already a goner. This might not hold up. So Stanton says, well, I'll date it for the day before, I think. This whole scene is as bizarre as it sounds, and I really don't have much else to say about it. So at this point, Arthur's kind of in a dilemma as his assistant comes back and starts reading off a list of all the things that this funeral is going to include. It's going to include like hundreds of people, limos, music, all that type of stuff. So now we go back kind of to the present with Arthur and his wife, and she's still talking about some movie she wants to go see. She's been talking about this through the episode, but we don't really know what it is. And I guess this is supposed to be the twist to the episode, although it's not really a twist. Arthur's not sure what to do. He decides to just burn this letter that Stanton wrote, and him and his wife, the reasoning, the deduction is that this guy can afford it. And that's pretty much it. The episode just ends there. There's no big twist or anything. Like I said, this episode wasn't terrible to watch. It kind of went by fine, and I might have, given it an average rating, but there's no real twist or anything. So I'm going to give 6 People, No Music a 2 out of 5. It's kind of just a bland episode. It's not completely dull, but there's not really much to it either. So I'm going to give a 2 out of 5 to this episode. As always, thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.